Now Cheyenne Unlimited Sol Nova 2 with 4.5mm stroke. Is this my favorite tattoo machine to use to this day? I think yes. Does it have the worst menu in any piece of technology that I have used? We'll talk about it in a moment. Hi, it's Juris and welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk. Today we'll take a look at the latest and greatest from Cheyenne, the Sol Nova Unlimited version 2. Boom. This is 4.5mm stroke machine. We'll take a look at it and do our kind of usual, its ups, its downs, and who it might be for. And I'll do extra one, which is what I wish it could be. And that's touching on the things that I didn't like or didn't fully understand. And I think if they would be different, it would be way better, at least for me, in my opinion. I have a separate video of unboxing / first impressions of this tattoo machine, and also a separate video where I compare it to version 1. What are the differences and what makes it better, improved version. So check those in the video description. Overall, it's very good tattoo machine, an expensive tattoo machine, but that's how Cheyenne tattoo machines go. I have managed to stay away from them since I had this one. When they started to do all the pens, I was somehow staying away from them, same way I'm staying away from Apple products, but they end up creeping up on me, so I think this will be the same situation with this tattoo machine. It is very good tattoo machine. It comes in at 1,000 euros. Don't forget that there are affiliate programs or discounts where it's like Black Fridays and that kind of stuff, so you can get like at least 10% off, and that's a big chunk of money. And at the same time, this is how this level tattoo machines cost, so nothing to complain there. These tattoo machines have 3 options for stroke length. It's 2.5mm stroke, 3.5mm stroke, and 4.5mm stroke, which is this one. As working with it, it's a really nice machine. It feels nice in the hand. It's really nicely balanced. You can see it's sort of centered towards the front where you put it, and it's sort of boom. Also, what's cool, it's the same threading like on previous models, and that means that you can use disposable grips. There you go, a little pocket rocket looking thing, and you can also use steel grips, which makes its balance way heavier towards front, which I like a lot. There you go, and obviously it's extra weight at the front of machine. And I like it, helps me, it gives me sort of, it does extra pushing for me, so it's a little hack. First model had a steady mode and responsive mode. This machine has steady mode and 3 different responsive modes. Responsive mode 1, 2 and 3 being the softest and 1 being the hardest but still being responsive. And that's quite useful if you're working on a sensitive spot or you just want to dial it down because it's quite punchy at its 4.5mm stroke, and that's plenty. So if you don't feel like it, you can dial it down with responsive modes. Steady mode was explained by people of Cheyenne on their video that it's sort of kind of like a cruise control in a car. You set the speed that you want and it will go no matter it's going up the hill, down the hill. I don't know how it works exactly, but I trust the brand and it's pretty cool explanation. As for needle sizes for lining, first I was using them from 7 bug pin and up, and smaller needles I was kind of uncomfortable to use them. My colleague was using it fine with all the needles. Then I asked like, what's your trick? And he's been using first model for years now, and his answer was responsive modes, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. Now I'm using them from 3 liners with all the regular, like I use a lot of 7 bug pins, 7 round shaders, 9 round shaders, and bigger needles. My colleague used this tattoo machine on some sweet back project where he used the XL needles by Cheyenne, the 21 round liners with the extra chunky 0.4mm needles, so those extra large needles, and this machine was pulling lines no problem. As for magnums, all the small standard sizes no problem, and I tried it with a bunch of big ones. I tried even with the XL 0.4 thickness 43 curved magnum from Cheyenne. It did its job. I would say with those XL needles you have to get used to how to work with them, but standard like 0.35, 0.30 thickness needles, I used 39s and it did a good job, so no problem with big size needles and small ones as well. And then responsive modes, so you can use them with the really tiny needles, and if you like the little peppery whippy shadings, you can slow it down to lowest voltage, but it still packs quite a punch, so you can use it for that look of the shading, and also for the classical whip shading and old school slow it down, and it has the nice the tugga 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 thing, and that's pretty wide sort of variety for what you can use this tattoo machine. I used this machine with needles from Cheyenne, and I also used it with a bunch of budget friendly options, and there was no problems. They performed fine. There was no ripping of membranes, nothing of that. So far so good. It's been very good experience working with this machine. Technically. The biggest differences from Model 1 is now that it has a screen and it has extra responsive mode. And machine consists of these 3 parts. We have a grip, boom, be it steel one or the aluminum one, and then it's this control unit, which is here, and then there's this part, which is sort of motor. This is where the stroke differences are. Then this would be that part that you change if you want to change different stroke. People say that it's a machine where it's easy to change a stroke, and yeah, you just have to buy separate this motor part, but I think it will be very expensive upgrade. I don't think it will be that much cheaper if it's missing just the grip and the battery, the control unit. This battery unit is super lightweight. Battery clips in here, and these are off-the-shelf 8500 2000 milliamp batteries, and it comes with a charger that has a quick charge option. There's a little clicky bit on the side, so you can adjust that depending on what sort of power brick you have. On the downside, one of my batteries started to look like this pretty quick, so I don't know if it came like that or there was something in handling it and it ripped the side open. There is a little metal part exposed, but I don't think that's a problem. It's just sort of looks of it. And if anything, it's just 15 euros and I can get a new one. Battery clips in the back of the unit. Boom, and unit slides into tattoo machine. Bum, and it has this very satisfying magnetic click. These batteries are a bit bigger from previous model that you can check on a video on differences between models. It is a quick charge battery and it lasts pretty long. I worked around 6 hours on one tattoo and I worked with it between 7 and 9 volts, and at the end it was at 2 bars on the battery indicator, so it could work still a bit more, and the other one was on the chargers. You can pretty much get infinite hours as long as you charge the other battery and then just swap them out, and that's it. Also, after that long, it's definitely healthy to take a break. So give machine a rest, swap batteries, you know, save your back. On a battery note and on responsive modes note, I noticed one thing. When you drain battery, when it's at the last bit of the power, the indicator bars, this machine have those modes. S1 is steady one, and then each other is softer, and you can feel the difference, for example, between steady and the responsive mode 3. When you work with it, it changes a bit tone, it gets a bit more gentle, and when you lift machine off, it changes its pitch, it goes a bit up. It's like, wow. On the last bar of battery indicator, when I was working, sometimes I got warnings that there's too much tension on a motor. I would try to increase voltage and it would show me warnings. On that warnings note, there's, yeah, this tattoo machine has all sorts of warnings, and I think that's good. That's sort of built-in safety system that doesn't allow to mess up battery, and it also shows you if there's anything wrong. If cartridge is too tight or there's anything wrong with cartridge. But at the lowest bars of the battery when I was working, it didn't let me do stuff. Also, I tried to switch to steady mode and it wouldn't let me. It showed the warning and then bumped me up to responsive 1 mode. I think it's not a bug, it's a built-in safety feature. Physically, this control unit, when plugged in, it sticks out a little bit. You can see there's a little edge to it, which is nice. It makes it easier to find it when wrapped, and you know which side is the screen. As I remove it, it shows a warning that it's missing motors, and that's nice because there are warnings that will help you not to mess up your tattoo machine. Control unit sticking out a bit is nice because it sort of prevents also from rolling of the machine, but this machine doesn't want to roll that much. If you put it on a surface that's somewhat leveled, all the heavy weight, the battery, everything is at the back. So if you put on a leveled surface, it's sort of like those Russian stand-up dolls. You put it on the side, boom, and it stands up. You put it this way, and it stands up. If you tilt it more to the side, then the control unit comes in handy, boom, and stops it from rolling. Obviously, it doesn't happen that much, but that's for peace of mind. Now, about controls of this tattoo machine. It switches on and off by a button on the top. So let's switch it off. Boom, and let's switch it on. Also, the same button is for running and stopping the tattoo machine. Boom, it's running. Boom, it stopped. For me personally, I'm used to tattoo machines that have run button on the side here, so that's where I reach naturally. If I'm working only with this tattoo machine, it takes a bit and you get used to it and it's fine. Every now and then I would still try to press it here, and then I may switch in between modes or go in the menu. I would prefer if the run button would be this one, and this would be the menu and changing modes button, but it is what it is and you can get used to it, especially if this is your only machine. Now we switch it on, switch it off. While it's running, we can change volts here, up and down, pretty easy to understand. If we stop it from running, then we can press the middle button and then we can change modes, up and down. And shortly we'll look in the menu, and that's where the fun stuff starts. When you get this tattoo machine, when it's factory reset, it's set that it shows hertz instead of volts, and it's on a steady mode. You can switch it on and off. That's 120 Hertz, and it also has option to tilt screen. Now it's looking this way, and if you flip the tattoo machine other way around, it changes its orientation, which is cool. If you're right-handed, you work this way. If you're left-handed, you set it this way, and you go with this. There is option to set that orientation, and I think you want to set it, because if you don't, you can work, let's say you're working, again I touched the wrong button, so you're working, you stop, you do something, and it switches the screen to the other side. While it's running, I can turn it either way, it's not changing direction, and it also switches direction of the buttons. If screen is this way, you work with it, that's the power up, down, that's the power up. You see, if I turn it around, it still works this way. If I stop it, it jumps to the other side, and now this is up and this is down. So that can get annoying. Not a big deal, but a little things can annoy if they happen a lot. And this machine now has these buttons to adjust speed up and down. Same like previous model, this one has the option for the tilty thing. You run it, so you can use either this button or this button to adjust speed this way. The more it's pointing down, lower voltage or hertz, and the up goes up. Also, you can use this button on the side, run with this button, and then you hold, then press this one down, and it adjusts voltage. And they have another option. I'll go in the menu. So we long press to go in the menu, go down, and where is the tilt, we change it to twist. Now we wait a bit, it goes out of the menu. Now we run it, and now instead of tilting it this way, you hold either this button or this button, and then you can do that. Or more like a volume knob. Boom, boom. I never used those options, but I understand first model had the tilty option, and people who use Cheyenne machines, you don't want to take anything off from them, and by now they are used to adjusting speed that way, so that would be a big deal for them to take it off, and they even have managed to work without screens. I love screens. Not having screen and having weird adjustments was that thing that kept me away from the previous model, and just by not having screen and doing all that magical stuff, I was like, I'm not interested. It took me very long time before I tried it, and actually I liked it, but that still confused me when I can't dial in volts. Maybe if you want to do it fast and then sort of micromanage, then it's a useful option. I'm fine with clicking buttons. Personally. Maybe having run button on the top is something that Cheyenne have figured out that will be the unique option. Also, this battery and its connection is pretty unique. Like, you know, everyone wants to be like Apple, have their own cable or their own menu or their own stuff. So maybe that's where they think this is like a unique option. Once you're used to this, you're not going to use others, but it can backfire if you come from other systems. You'll be annoyed with this placement. Another cool feature with this tattoo machine, if you're used to volts, you can set it to volts. If you're used to hertz, use hertz. It's pretty easy. Again, long press center button, you go in the menu, you click a bit down, and it shows like hertz, or you can switch it to volts. I'm used to volts. I know that hertz is a bit more reliable reading. Just so you know, there's option to display hertz or to display volts. Could have been cool if it showed both at the same time. There are machines with smaller screens that show everything at the same time. This one shows the mode, then it shows timer, and then it shows volts or hertz. Now let's touch on the menu, and that's where funky stuff starts. I also have a full dedicated video on in-depth of menu, but we'll quickly run through this one to see what's just there, and then I'll touch on the points that I don't understand, and then I'll touch on the points how I wish it could be improved, if it's even possible. That's just my wishful thinking. To access menu, long press button, boom. First thing, it's modes. Like, you can change modes by pressing this button. Boom, here, that's the button that you access menus, and that's the button where you switch to the boom, modes, go up, down, boom. There's timer, then arrows do nothing, and then you adjust voltage by clicking up or down. Long press, you access menu, and the first thing on the menu is modes again. Now you change it by pressing the same button. I don't know why it's there, why it's twice next to each other. Maybe if you're working and you want to change the modes and you pressed it too long, you look at it like, okay, cool, I'm still in the menus. Boom, boom, boom. Go back in the menu. We go down. Volts, hertz, we change it, and then it shows mode, and that shows, I guess, in what mode you're working. It goes out of the menu. Boom, we see R2. Now we run the machine. It's running on R2 mode. While it's running, I press up and down. It changes the responsive modes or non-responsive modes. You can click up or down. I think it was on Cheyenne's video, it said that you can't adjust modes when you're running the machine, but it does adjust here. Maybe it's just on the screen and it's not actually adjusting it, and then when you stop, you are sort of on that mode, weird stuff or stuff that I don't understand why it's there. And that's why I think people who made this tattoo machine or specifically designed menu, they need to make dedicated video explaining what it's meant to be. Because for me, it's a bit hard to understand what it's meant to be and why it's even there. If you look at the instruction, it also doesn't say much. It's more like a little computer game where you have to follow like arrows. It's not intuitive for me. Once you figure out how things work by yourself and then you look at this menu description, you're like, ah, that's what it's meant to be. And I showed it to my colleague who's working with First Solno Unlimited for like years. I showed him this explanation and he said, I have no idea what it says. So this one I'm not a fan of, but there's a little QR code on the side, or you can search on Cheyenne's website and you will find pretty extensive menus with all sorts of description, and there are some things that feel a bit over the top, and at the same time I understand that brand needs to protect their products from misuse. There's also explanation what warnings mean that's been shown on the screen, which is pretty cool. It doesn't say on this sort of manual, but when you see a warning you're like, ooh, what's wrong? And on the extended manual there's all the descriptions, what's what warning means what. It's a nice manual and it's pretty clear and well written. I'll try to link it in the video description as well. Let's get back to menu. We change to mode from Hertz volts mode. Now it displays mode. We can run it. We can adjust modes. If it's correct or if it's some weird stuff, I don't know. If you know what that means exactly, then leave it in the comment section. Or let's wait for Cheyenne's design team will do their own dedicated video of menu of their new control unit of new Solno Unlimited 2. Next thing on the menu, boom, boom, and this is pretty cool. This is where you change volts to hertz, what's been displayed on screen. Nice. Do you need to access it all the time? Probably not. You set it once and you're good. Or if you want to check what volts are what hertz, you go in, you play around with that and you see 125 hertz at the moment. We go in the menu, change it to volts, wait for it exits to menu. 125 hertz is 10.7 volts. Next thing on the menu is a timer. You can play around with that if you use timer. It's digged in. The first thing you press on it, it shows session, and then there's option to pause it. Timer, pause. You press down, it says reset session, and then it's runtime, and that I understand is total runtime of the unit. Sort of like a mileage on a car. So if you get a second-hand unit, you can take a look and be like, oh, it's been working this many hours. You can reset the session time, but the overall runtime, it's there to stay. At least that's how I understand, because there's no option to reset it, and that was mentioned on Cheyenne's video as well. Timer, session, pause, reset, boom. 0 hours. So you see the menus have more menus within menus, so you have to play around which one is just displayed on the screen or it has some sort of hidden option there. Now let's go further. Gesture speed. Now it shows this little 0 thing. And that is why my screen is now set to the right-handed mode. I turn it around, nothing happens. And if machine's been off, I switch it on, I press this button, nothing happens, press this button, nothing happens. So if your screen is set on one direction, every time machine switches off, you switch it off, or you've been cleaning your customer and it's switched off by itself, you switch it on, the gesture control is disabled. You go in the menu, you switch it on, now it shows this little circle. That means it's disabled. I can press it and it shows tilt or it shows twist. Let's do it with the tilt. And you see I press it one more time and there's no option to disable it. I can only enable it. When I turn it off and turn it back on, it shows a little circle and it doesn't work. Now let's run it. Let's press the button. You see it's working nice. Let's stop it. I switch the machine off. I switch the machine back on. Boom. I run it. I hold the button. Nothing happens. Same thing with the twist control, and it only happens when your screen is set to the one or another side, which is next thing in a menu. Go in the menu, display orientation, auto, left, right. Let's put it on auto. Let's switch the mode. Gesture speed is disabled now because it was on set on the side. Now let's do the tilt. Let's run it. It's working and you see screen is jumping from left to right. Boom. Now we can switch it off and switch it back on. We run it and the controls are working. That I think is some sort of bug or it's because of the lag. the gyro thingy that knows which direction it's pointing, but it's weird because if you are used to adjusting speed that way, let's say you're coming from the first generation of machines, and if you use it a lot, every time you switch your machine off or it switches off on itself and you switch it on, you have to go in the menu, so you have to long press it and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in to switch it back on. The thing that you kind of used to from the first generation, which was a unique feature, yeah, now every time it switches off, you will have to adjust it if your screen is set to some orientation. If it's not set, it's going to be jumping around and it can get in the way when you work. As I mentioned before, it can get confusing which is up, which is down. Next thing on a menu, long press, go in, we go in, tilt, auto orientation, brightness of the screen, we press it standard, minimum, maximum, standard. You can see there's different modes there, and in this menu there's a little hidden thing. If you click down, it shows a little invert menu, and when you press that, it just inverts what's black and white on the screen. Not a big deal, but it's a cool feature to have, and it's hidden within the menu. Again, like a little computer game. You can see it here, but it's not that easy, so play around with menus if you have this tattoo machine. To reset, boom, back, yes. And when it's factory reset, it's back to 120 Hertz on a steady mode, with the screen being on a automatic thing, and the tilt adjustment of speed. That's weird with factory reset, because there's nothing really set, and I will touch on that part on the things what I wish this would be. And last thing is to go back from the menu. As for who this machine would be for beginners, I mean, if you can afford it, sure, go for it. It's a good machine. Those responsive modes can be a bit confusing if you don't know what's what. It might give you 4 more excuses why something went wrong when you did something. You could be like, maybe I should have used another mode, but that's up to an individual. It's not a cheap product, but if you have the funds, it's a good tattoo machine. They've been making good tattoo machines since forever. There's also warranty on them if anything happens, and that's where I would like to point out that in my opinion, it would be great to buy from brand directly, and then you have direct communication. If anything happens, warranties, everything goes directly to the manufacturer. Instead of you buy from distributors, it can get confusing, like you have to communicate where you have to send tattoo machines and stuff like that. In my opinion, if you have a chance, then buy from manufacturer. At least in Europe, no, I think it's worldwide. They ship for free, so that's also good news. Or choose a good, reputable distributor, so you will not have a problem if anything goes wrong. Personally, I have not had problems with Cheyenne tattoo machines. I used them very long time ago, but these things are still running, and my colleague is working with previous model for years and it's been fine. There's been absolutely no problem with that. Another thing who this might be for, that would be upgrade from previous model. I don't think that's really that much of an upgrade, because the previous model is still great tattoo machine. So if you get this one, yeah, you get extra responsive modes, but I think by now you have figured out the controls, working without screen. You had that tattoo machine most likely for some years, so as an upgrade, I don't think it's that much of an upgrade. But if you're looking into like different strokes, let's say you had a 4mm stroke machine and you want 3.5 or 2.5, now you have that option, plus it gives you those options with responsive modes to soften it up. It sort of extends the option of the what stroke do you have, which is nice. With other big brands, you get just one stroke, one stroke, one stroke. If you want to change something, just buy the whole tattoo machine. With this one, it's sort of 4.5mm stroke that sort of softens a bit down. Flexibility is good. Where I think this machine is actually really for, it's for Cheyenne super fans. You hear on many forums or YouTube videos where Cheyenne fans talk about that this is the new tattoo machine. Manufacturer had listened to all the issues and have sold them. I have not used previous model. I don't know what those issues are or might be, but for Cheyenne super fans, if they claim that this is sorted with this tattoo machine, there you go. Or if you think it's sorted the way it's sorted here, then this is something for you. Now let's touch on what I wish it would be. Machine itself, technically working with it, great. Menus, I'm so confused. Let's say what menu would be great in my perfect world. As I mentioned, I naturally want to press this button as a run button, the central button. And therefore it would be awesome if in the menu would be an option to map these buttons other way around. If you like this way, sure, work this way. If these could be swapped around if you want to, I think many people would enjoy that run button is just here at the touch of a thumb, like on many other tattoo machines or battery. When we talked menus, switch it on, you press the first button and it changes the modes. Then you long press and you are again at the modes. I don't know why it's there. Like I said, maybe if you press it too long, Okay, it goes in there. The next thing, go in the menu, go down, and it's that volt mode or volts or hertz, mode, volts or hertz. I don't understand what it does and why it's second thing on the menu. If somebody can explain what it is exactly and why it's useful, cool. Then maybe it should be second thing on the menu. We long press it, then we go down, volts, hertz, then it's what it displays. Third thing on the menu. Next thing is timer, which is fourth on the menu. Timer, then you have to go in the timer, then you can pause the timer, and then you can continue timer, and then you can like reset the session. And that would be cool, because I have seen on other like batteries and stuff, you can do things with combination of buttons. I would imagine you press up and down together, and it would like reset the timer, and then you press like up and the top button or down and the top button, that would like reset the session. And that would be awesome if it would be accessible from when you work. So if you need to pause session, you just press the combination, it's paused, boom, you continue if you want to pause it and continue it. I know on many machines you just start it and it starts new session. At the end you reset it, so it sort of counts the runtime. Or if you want to do the time, then just use a clock, I think. Brightness is not a really important, at least in my opinion, setting, because like what, you save a battery on a less brightness. Actually, the brightness, if you pack it with some clipcord sleeves that are in black color, in dark color, it is quite hard to see the screen, so it would be great that it would be the brightest. So every time like you sort of have to look for it. It is easier to find it because of the shape of it, but it's not bright, so it's not intuitive, so you start to do all that stuff. So brightness would be the brighter the better, obviously without sacrificing battery life. Now we go to my favorite, it's the factory reset. I don't understand what's there to reset, because there's nothing really set. It takes as much effort to go to factory reset as to reset them one by one. It's actually a few things. In my dream world, what would be awesome if you press, let's say, steady mode, and you set it on 110 Hertz. Then when you switch to responsive mode, you could switch it to different hertz. So let's say you run it, now it shows hertz, so let's say I set R1 to 125, and then if I would switch between R1 and steady mode, it would also adjust speed. And that could be also something in the menu where you can set it as a preset or just the regular way that it is now. Let's say you want to use the softest mode, R3, and you know that you're going to use it on that speed. You set it to like whatever, 90 hertz, and steady mode you set it to like 60 hertz or 120 hertz, and it would be cool. So that would be kind of like a preset option. So in a menu you could have like the regular mode or preset mode for all the responsive and non-responsive modes in my dream world. Otherwise I just don't understand why there's factory reset where it's nothing really set to be reset. There's not like extensive menus where you can get lost and be like, okay, I just need to zero it and start from the scratch. Factory reset, and then last button is back to get out of the menu. We go in, and then if we want to get out of the menu, we go all the way down, and then we press little button on the back, and it goes out to the front menu, sort of the front screen. As I am in the menu, long press, I can press up, down. If I press the run button while I'm in the menu, it does nothing. And why wouldn't it be an exit button? You press in the menu, boom, 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 you want to get out of there, press it and you're out. Now you have to go either all the way back, or if you are in something like a timer, and then you add the timer, and then you have to press a bunch of times until you're back again. And then you get out of the menu, while this would be just a good option to boom, quit the menu sort of a button, in my opinion. And that's about it. This was my review. I love the machine as it is, as a machine, as a motor, as a stroke length, as the options that it has. Menu itself sort of gets in the way. Sometimes you press other buttons than you were intending to because you have habits from other tattoo machines. And menu is sort of weird. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I'm definitely saying that I don't understand it. It's not intuitive. It's some weird stuff. There could be better stuff done with the menu, and there could be better stuff done with mapping of the buttons, in my opinion. Let's see if Cheyenne will have their own dedicated video to menu, or maybe somebody else who reviews these tattoo machines will make more sense out of the menu than I did. And now you, leave your thoughts on this tattoo machine, leave your thoughts on any bit in the menu that I didn't understand, and if you can make sense of it and why it's useful, please leave that in the comment section so we all know, and do the usual YouTube-y stuff. Press likes, and if you're super awesome, share this video, check all the videos linked in the video description, and check all the other links. And now we have memberships as well. We have few tiers for now. We'll see what options we'll do in the future. If it picks up, we'll do some more options in the future. And now shout out to our first member, my colleague Dan. Thank you by supporting this stuff by being a member. You get extra emojis, badges, and all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the future episodes. As usual, stay safe. Bye. I don't know if I forget, share this video if you're super awesome. I'm out of battery.